What's going on, everybody? Here's take 2 of the video. Apparently my microphone was disconnected, so let's do this again. We have got a nice green day today. We just got PPI that came out. Of course, we had CPI come out yesterday, and the market is having a little bit of euphoria today. Small caps specifically are running very nice, but we're going to look over PPI and CPI, and then we're going to go into Nano Dimension here. We do have some recent things to look over with Nano Dimension, as well as checking out the chart. But if you like these videos, if you like the effort I put in, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. It definitely helps me out. Consider joining my YouTube membership and consider checking out the links down below to some free stocks and cryptos. It helps my channel out and I appreciate it. But let's dive into this. First off, let's look at PPI. And you can see right here we have a 0.1% year over year PPI number. It was forecasted to be 0.4%, and I think the trend is going to continue and we are going to see deflationary PPI just like we saw back in 2020. I do think the likelihood of the Fed cutting rates is even higher. Although they're, I think, unlikely to cut this meeting, but maybe a few meetings from now we will start seeing rate cuts. I think it's unlikely that we're going to see a rate hike. Personally, the market does expect a rate hike, but I personally don't think we're going to see one. I could of course be wrong. And looking at CPI, we're now at a 3%. It was expected to be 3.1. We are now only 1% away from the Fed's target 2%. And same with PPI, I do expect the trend to continue. We are in a clear downtrend on PPI and CPI, and I do think inflation is going to continue trending down. And one thing to consider is some previous rate hikes haven't even been felt by the market yet. A lot of this data is lagging data, and the Fed doesn't necessarily have to keep raising rates to get to 2%. And even with cutting rates, I would argue that we can still get to 2% if they cut rates very conservatively. But like I said, we probably won't see rate cuts for quite a while. But the Fed is known for being too little too late. You know, they're too little too late on raising rates, saying inflation was transitory when they should have already been raising rates a lot sooner. And I think the same will go for deflation. I think the Fed is going to be very late to cutting rates and will already be somewhere around 2% before they're really clear on what they're doing. But long story short, PPI coming down, I do expect it to be deflationary soon. It's just a hairline over 0%. And of course, CPI 3%. We're going to see the 2s in our next CPI print, I believe. But in the rest of this video, let's look over Nano Dimension and some things that have been going on. Now, I'll leave this down below for you just because I'm going to quickly go over it. But essentially, the U.S. District Court dismissed a lawsuit filed by Nano Dimension against Murchison and other shareholders. And Murchison previously had litigation against Nano Dimension. It seems like Nano Dimension kind of retaliated here. It does seem a bit strange to me. And at times, things that Nano Dimension doesn't necessarily sit right with me. We do need to remember that this is an ADR, meaning you're not necessarily buying shares of the company. But looking over what Murchison commented about this, we are gratified by the court's decision to dismiss all claims made by Nano Dimension against us and other significant shareholders. In our view, the frivolous lawsuit filed by Nano Dimension in March was a transparent attempt to silence our voice as well as the voice of our shareholders, other shareholders, who ultimately voted overwhelmingly in favor of Murchison's proposals, including to remove Yoav Stern at the company's special general meeting of shareholders held on March 20. And you can see by how they're saying things, there's a clear bias here from them. They say, despite this very clear message, Nano Dimension continues to desperately try to preserve the status quo of underperformance and terrible corporate governance that has plagued the company under Mr. Stern's leadership. I mean, I think this is a little bit ridiculous. Murchison actually has shares of Nano Dimension, and here they are talking crap. Well, why do you own shares? Why don't you get out? That to me just seems a little weird, but like I said, I will leave this down below for you. There is more to look over here. And we also have something else. We also have Nano Dimension increase their offer for Stratasys to $24 per share. And I'll go over briefly a arbitrage opportunity here in a second. But they basically gave a increased offer price of their special tender offer from 20 to 24, which would mean Nano Dimension would purchase somewhere around 32 to about 37% of the shares of Stratasys. They already currently own shares as well. And as a side note, that's one reason they saw profitability. It wasn't just their revenue in the last quarter, it was also the increase on paper in share price of Stratasys going up in price, the shares that Nano Dimension owned. Now there's another thing that seems a little strange. I'm kind of getting this vibe of desperation a little bit here, but I could be wrong here. Maybe Nano Dimension just really wants to acquire this company. They are a top 3D printer. I believe they're in the top 3 or 5, and it would certainly add to Nano Dimension and help them have even more of a solid suite of products. And of course, as they give higher share offering prices, it does increase Nano Dimension's current shares that they own in value. But let me know how you feel about this going on as well. And Stratasys as a company does look pretty solid. They have a very reasonable price to book value. Their price to sales is also very reasonable at 2. Forward PE is a bit high. And looking at their balance sheet is very solid. They have nearly 300 million in cash and only about 16 million in debt. I mean, I can see why Yoav Stern and the Nano Dimension team want to acquire Stratasys shares and are giving them higher and higher share offering prices. Now I'll go over this little arbitrage going on here, and then we'll look over Nano Dimension. You can see that Stratasys shares are currently going for $21. It's been just popping, one, because of the macro environment improving. There's another stock that's been in an uptrend since the beginning of the year, and combine that with Nano Dimension giving higher share price values, you can see why this has been running. But there is, like I said, an arbitrage here. If you do think the Nano Dimension deal is going to go through, then this Stratasys share price will likely go up towards 24. So you can potentially take that risk. There is a bit of an arbitrage there. But if the deal drops, this can definitely drop back under $20. So there is a little bit of risk to it. That's why this isn't just trading at $24, which is basically where Nano Dimension values them at now. But there's definitely an opportunity to make some money here if this deal does go through. Now looking at Nano Dimension, the chart is very bullish. It's continuing to ride the 50 EMA. They are all in an uptrend, they are in the correct order, and they are all ascending. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to set a stop loss right around the 50 EMA. And also, where the moving averages are concerned, we did see a golden cross in the beginning of July, and it has been just continuing up. Now we do have a resistance to watch for. If we do break out of this resistance, I do think Nano Dimension is going to blast higher. If we can break 325, which was a resistance here that we hit yesterday, and was also a resistance here back in March of 2023. If we can break out of this level, we are definitely going to be blasting off. But let me know what you guys think about Nano Dimension. Let me know what you think about them raising their share price offering to Stratasys. Do things seem a little bit off to you? Or does it just seem like they really want to acquire shares of this company? And also, how do you feel about this recent lawsuit news? And how are you feeling about the Fed and inflation? Do you think we're going to see one more rate hike? Or do you think in the coming months we're actually going to see rate cuts? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.